Chapter 7, Manglejaw. So this is the Nothing to See Here Hotel, the Goblin said, looking around reception and nodding to himself. He had a thin clay pipe wedged between his teeth, and a wisp of yellow smoke wafted up and floated above him like a wreath. It was as if the rain and the wind hadn't touched it at all. Who'd have thought a scabrous old scrunt like me would end up bringing messages to a poshly place like this? My old mumsy wouldn't believe her peepers. He glanced upwards and grimaced at the rain that was still falling through the open sky door, then looked over to Mum. "Excuse me, lady, I don't suppose you could shut that door, could you?" "Oh, my goodness, sorry," Mum blurted, and fumbled with the key in the bumblebee lock. She turned it, and the ceiling slid back into place with a loud groan of metal cogs. "There we are." "Thanks," said the Goblin. He pulled off his woolen hat and squeezed the rainwater out of it, then patted down his blood-red uniform. "Terrible tantrumy weather. I nearly got blown to Timbuktu." Mum darted out from them behind the desk and joined me and Nancy beside the fountain. "Now, can we get you a cup of tea, mister?" "I ain't no mister," the Goblin laughed. "Manglejaw's me name, Muggedy Manglejaw, but just plain old Manglejaw will do for now." "Hello, Manglejaw," Mum said, pulling her best "welcome to the hotel" smile. "What a lot of hallowing," Manglejaw said. "I ain't got time for tea though, I'm afraid. A postal goblin's work is never done, and I've got grabfuls of letters to deliver yet. And what's going on?" Everyone jumped and spun round as Dad wandered into reception hall from the library with a stack of books in his hands. He'd been in there all afternoon trying to sort out an ink blotch problem. A family of blots had checked into the pages of the books and rearranged all the letters to make more room for their ink luggage. "Did I hear the sky door?" he said. "Dad, it's a goblin messenger." Dad looked at me, then at Mum and Nancy, who peered over his glasses and frowned, scanning the room for goblins. Nancy coughed politely and pointed up to where Manglejaw and his raven were perched on the statue. "Hello," Manglejaw said. He gave a little nod of his head. "Oh gosh," said Dad, nearly dropping the pile of books. "Postal Goblin Manglejaw, at your service," said Manglejaw. "Welcome. Can we get you a cup of tea?" Dad nodded back. "Manglejaw doesn't have time," said Mum. "That's right," said Manglejaw. He yanked on the raven's reins and flew to the floor. "None of that for me, thanking you. I'm here to do a job." The little goblin hopped off his raven's back, walked around to a large pouch hanging off the side of the saddle, and started rummaging inside. It had been ages since I'd seen a goblin up close, and I couldn't stop staring. Living in a hotel for magical creatures, I see all sorts of weird and bonkers things every day, but this was unusual even for us. Goblins mostly hated being near humans and always kept themselves to themselves, so we hardly ever had them to stay at the hotel. I'd forgotten how short they are too. Now that Manglejaw was standing on the floor, he was only about as tall as my knee, and his wrinkly, pale skin made him look more like an oversized turnip than a living, breathing creature. "Here we are," Manglejaw chuckled, pulling out a tiny scroll of gold paper. A tiny scroll? I had been hoping for a chest of magical treasure, or a dragon's egg, or at the very least a cool spell book from some long-distant relative. We did have a couple of witches in the family after all. "Righty," said Manglejaw. He unrolled the scroll and read in a loud voice. "A royal declaration from the palace of the Barrow Goblins." Mum gasped and steadied herself on my shoulder. "The Barrow Goblins? What do they want with us?" "They never come up from the underground," said Dad. "Do they?" All the hairs on the back of my neck prickled. There are loads of different species of goblin in the world, and I'd never seen a barrow goblin. They lived miles underground, near the centre of the earth. "Prince Grogba, son of Queen Latrina and heir to the throne of the Dark and Dooky Deep, is tired on his tinkly toes and will be coming for a holiday from his royal duties at the Nothing to See Here Hotel. Make feast, funnies and festival bills in preparation for his divine arrivaling, or else you'll all be dead. Thank you." Nobody spoke. Mum gawped at Dad, and Dad just shook his head in amazement. "A prince?" Nancy finally said. "A goblin prince?" Mum stammered. "Coming here?" "We'll need to redecorate the entire hotel," said Dad. He started running on the spot in panic. We'll need to get 10 times more food and fill up the cellars with frog grog and landscape the garden and extend the swimming pool and replace all the furniture. When is he coming? Mum asked Manglejaw, her eyes practically popping out of her head. Manglejaw mumbled. He frowned at the scroll and reread the message. Then he turned it over and read something on the back of the paper. Ah, here it is. Everyone held their breath. Tomorrow, Manglejaw said with a grin. At noon. You've made it this far. Right, let's stop here for a teeny second and talk about all the stuff you've read so far. I bet you never imagined these kind of things were going to happen. I also bet that by now you would have expected to say, yep, I was right. That Frankie Bannister is just a complete nutter. Admit it, ha. Well, you didn't. Here we are at chapter 8, and I know you can't wait to read what happens next. And since the next few hours were mostly full of everyone running around like headless chickens trying to get everything ready for the prince, I say we skip all the boring cleaning bits and jump to the next morning when Grogbar was due to arrive.